The history of the internet phone or iPhone is synonymous with the transformation of the entire mobile industry. In 2007, Apple's then CEO, Steve Jobs, unveiled the first-generation iPhone, marking a significant milestone in the history of consumer electronics. Over the years, Apple continued to innovate with each new iPhone iteration, introducing features like the App Store, FaceTime, Siri, and Touch ID. It became a cultural phenomenon, driving Apple to become one of the world's most valuable and influential companies, with a loyal customer base and a series of record-breaking product launches. The company, Apple, has sold over 2.5 billion iPhones and is valued over $3 trillion, which is comparable to the GDP of the UK. On the other hand, it's hard to remember a time when Samsung wasn't a major part of modern life. This tech giant leads the way with so many products that we use daily, and its revenue contributes almost 20% to the GDP of South Korea. But it's not actually been that long since Samsung were the newbies in the market, competing against some tech giants like Apple and Nokia. Released in June 2010, the Samsung Galaxy S changed everything. It brought Samsung to the forefront of people's minds when it came to Android devices. And since then, they've been killing it in all corners and price ranges of the Android market. Let's do a comparison of the two most compared mobile brands, iPhone and Samsung mobiles, in their camera, design and operating system, and find our winner by tallying the scores on these criteria. One of the key battlegrounds in this competition is the camera department. For most people, their phone is their primary camera, so it's no surprise why camera upgrades are at the center of smartphone innovation these days. Although both iPhones and Samsung phones allow you to change the camera settings, most people rely on the auto mode to take photos and videos. This doesn't sound like a big deal, but the phone has to do a lot of work behind the scenes to figure out what you're trying to shoot. One of the first things it does is identify the subject and focus on it as quickly as possible. This is important when taking shots of moving objects such as pets, kids, and vehicles. Both phones are quite comparable when it comes to autofocus, so no complaints here. However, the iPhone has a faster shutter speed, which helps freeze motion and avoid blur. A fast shutter speed is also useful when taking continuous shots, or what we call burst mode. Samsung's phones have a noticeable shutter lag, especially when you switch to a higher resolution mode. Both devices take amazing photos, but Samsung is more aggressive with its dynamic range. They also handle colors very differently. iPhone almost always goes for a neutral look, while Samsung tries to add flair and make your photos look more vibrant and awe-inspiring. There's nothing inherently wrong with either approach, but photos from iPhones do look a bit boring when put next to Samsung. The iPhone's nighttime shots look more true to life, but are sometimes so dark there's barely anything worth seeing in those shots. Samsung's nighttime shots are more presentable but can sometimes be a bit overexposed, failing to capture the beauty of the night. For portrait shots, it's a tough call. Samsung has excellent edge detection and can separate individual strands of hair, but it blurs the background a bit too much. The blur on the iPhone has a more gentle fall-off, but its edge detection needs more work. Samsung does take a minor hit in quality when you switch to the ultra-wide mode, whereas the iPhone remains consistent regardless of which lens you are using. Both phones double their ultra-wide lenses for macro photography. iPhones are usually easier to recommend when it comes to video performance, and the biggest reason for that is that they remain consistent across all lenses, evoking a feeling of seamlessness. In other words, the lens transition doesn't feel obtrusive and there's hardly any shift in white balance or color calibration. Because of added stability, Samsung's video is able to retain more technical detail with a better dynamic range. Samsung has 8K video capability, but it's one of those features you'll probably never need. The iPhone tries to keep its camera system as simple as possible to make it easier to navigate for the average user who is not as tech-savvy. Samsung, on the other hand, gives you everything you asked for and then some extra features like up to 200MP resolution, 10x optical zoom, 100x hybrid zoom, tons of filters, and a plethora of software features such as director's view, single take, astro hyperlapse, space zoom, super slow motion, and more. Perhaps the best way to describe the camera difference between the iPhone and Samsung is this: Samsung has lower lows and higher highs. Meaning, when Samsung does something poorly, it's not even comparable to the iPhone, but when it does something right, it's so far ahead that it makes the iPhone look outdated. Design is the silent ambassador of your brand's values, speaking volumes through aesthetics, functionality, and innovation. Apple's iPhone design philosophy is characterized by its commitment to minimalism and elegance. iPhones are renowned for their sleek, clean lines and premium materials like aluminum and glass, which lend them a modern and sophisticated aesthetic. The design has evolved over the years, with iconic features such as the home button giving way to a gesture-based interface. The introduction of the notch, starting with the iPhone X, was a notable design choice that divided opinions among users. Apple's design ethos is closely tied to its ecosystem, ensuring a consistent user experience across its products. However, this approach can limit customization options compared to some Android devices. There had been a 7-year-long legal dispute which started in 2011 when Apple accused Samsung of slavishly copying the iPhone's design and software features. Samsung then countered the allegation by suing Apple for infringing Samsung's software patents. This went on with multiple cases being filed on multiple patents and each company claiming billions of dollars in damages. In 2012, a U.S. jury ruled in favor of Apple, making Samsung pay more than $1.05 billion for copying various hardware and software of the iPhone and iPad. Samsung still continued the fight both in court and in the market as well. Today, Samsung offers a diverse lineup of mobile devices, catering to a wide range of consumer preferences. Notably, some Samsung Galaxy models feature curved edge displays, providing a futuristic and edge-to-edge appearance. The One UI software overlay enhances one-handed usability, emphasizing user convenience. Samsung's design approach varies across its product range, from premium materials like glass and metal in flagship models to experimentation with materials like plastic in mid-range devices. Samsung's Android-based devices also offer extensive customization options, allowing users to personalize their experience. Furthermore, Samsung is known for innovation, incorporating features like the S Pen and foldable displays into select models, offering unique design elements that set them apart in the market. When it comes to operating systems, both are great. It all depends on what you are looking for. iOS, the operating system powering iPhones, is renowned for its seamless integration with the broader Apple ecosystem. This tightly knit ecosystem spans devices like Macs, Apple Watches, Apple TVs, and services such as iCloud, iMessage, and FaceTime. This integration allows for a cohesive user experience, as data and services seamlessly sync across devices. iOS is characterized by its closed ecosystem, with Apple maintaining strict control over both hardware and software. While this approach ensures a high level of security and optimization, it can limit user customization and flexibility. iOS boasts a user-friendly interface, typically featuring a grid of app icons on the home screen, and its updates tend to bring incremental refinements. The App Store is the exclusive source for iOS apps, where Apple curates and reviews apps before they are available, prioritizing security and quality. Samsung mobiles, like many Android devices, run on the Android operating system, which offers a more open and customizable experience. Android is open source, allowing manufacturers like Samsung to tailor the OS to their preferences. Samsung's One UI, a customized version of Android, offers extensive personalization options, from themes to widgets, giving users greater control over their device's appearance and behavior. Android users access the Google Play Store for apps, which offers a wide array of choices, but its openness can occasionally lead to security concerns. The Android ecosystem embraces diversity, with various manufacturers offering smartphones in different designs, sizes, and price ranges. However, Android's update process can be fragmented, as manufacturers and carriers must adapt the software for specific devices, potentially resulting in delays for users. Android devices come preloaded with Google services, creating a robust ecosystem for those who use services like Gmail, Google Maps, and Google Assistant. Ultimately, the choice between iOS and Android, whether on an iPhone or Samsung mobile, hinges on individual preferences, ecosystem loyalty, and specific needs. iOS excels in integration and security, while Android offers greater customization and hardware diversity. What's your take on this? Are you Team iPhone or Team Samsung? Let us know in the comments below.